Hello, hello. KF afternoon. Smokey, my guy. Good to see you. Naveen, good to see you as well. How are we all doing today? Hamza, other Hamza, woke Hamza. Is that what that is? Steve. How are we today? Let's go, my dude. Alex. Meow, meow. You're a cat. All right, okay. Daniel, how you doing? Asa. Mancunian Kev. Arienka. Hello, hello. Lamuel, my guy. My dude. Simon, 50. Paul, the red. Thanks for using your video prompt. Yes. Stuart, good to see you, buddy. Thank you for being here. All of you, how are we today? Blatant football takes. Nice. Nice as doom. Hello, Pablo. Pablo, huh? Rexep, thank you for the updates. You're welcome. Kevin from Atlanta. There you go. Need one more secret from Amorim saying Euro's making the final. Indeed. I thought hello was Mima in. What? How are we? How's the nerves? Bad, man. Bad. Yeah, I was saying I every time I keep thinking about this, the nerves kick in each afternoon, and then we got to go live again because it helps the nerves to sit and yap for like an hour. You know what I mean? Together. I hope it helps you guys too. I hope it helps you guys too as well to go back and forth, um, to chat, to talk because yeah, I don't think I can handle it honestly. Like I'm gonna have to do it every day this week and next week in the lead up, and the final day will probably be live for like three or 4 hours beforehand. We'll just sit together until it's time because I don't know any other way to be right now. Way nervous. Mickles, oh hey buddy, thank you for that. Yes, the graphs. Thank you for reminding me because I wanted to show some things today. Lord. Good freaking Lord. I wanted to show some things in the video. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that you did that for me. And thank you for the reminder because I wanted to show those graphs when we get to a certain part because they're so interesting and useful in terms of really visualizing not whatever we might want to call it, be it progress or otherwise. Wearing the Mups hoodie right now. You love? Oh, that's awesome. Yes, remember, get your merchandise. Get your Make United Great Again hat if you want. No. But yeah, thanks. Let's go. Good. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Do you think we'll sign Semenyo? I don't think we will. I think he's too expensive. Money Mouse. I got to get back to you in an email as well, Money. Mikkels, Bruno Fernandes. You had a dream that you were playing and we lost the game for us. Well, hopefully you're not the real Bruno because, any chance of Garnacho starting up top in the final? I thought he should. Yeah, well, that was what I was asking for yesterday, right? I was asking for that. That I thought in the final that I would like to see Garnacho, Mount, and Bruno be the front three. Who's your favorite pick for the goalkeeper transfer? We'll talk about that. I've got a lot of stuff to get to. We've got Amorim, goalkeeper, sales. I want to talk about the ex-players again because they've presented themselves yet another opportunity for us to do so. And then Chelsea as well. I want to talk about that and some injuries, some things like that as well. So yeah, there's a lot to discuss today. No doubt about that. A lot of things I want to talk about. A lot of things I want to get to go through. Before we get started, well, I guess we could just get started. We'll just get into it. People will join. I always like to give people some time to join the stream, to join the video, to hang out. Obviously, we always end up with a few more 100 coming in over the next few minutes. So we'll give it a couple minutes and then we'll get going here. Lovely late night watch. Ex-players need to be ignored. Yeah. How are we all feeling for Wednesday? Very nervous. Very, very, very agitated. Hello, Nick. Thank you. Semenyo is massively overrated. Semenyo is... I don't get it. He's very similar to Garnacho. Similar wasteful end product as well. Like, the downsides are the same. I don't see the point of spending money on that. We have Garnacho. We have him we have Semenyo at home, and it's basically the same thing. I don't think Semenyo is an upgrade on Garnacho, in my opinion. I mean, that's just my opinion. You loved the Xerxes gift today. Oh my God, Xerxes! I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that I'm just hopeful, man. What can I say? I'm just hopeful that he'll make it. Good to see you, Vikram. My blind confidence tells me we'll smash Spurs. I know. Paul, I've got a yoga session next Wednesday. You better help. Hopefully. Hopefully you don't get slapped again tomorrow. Yeah, well, I do want to talk about that in this Amorim section, but because you were discussing Semenyo and Garnacho, I don't get it. Semenyo, for my money, is the same player. I think they're both up there with taking an enormous number of shots for a fairly low number of goals. I don't see the point in that, to be quite honest. Here, let me just pull up something else really quick, because it's I just don't get it. I mean, I don't see the point, especially for that kind of money. Look, you have the same problem here, right? The same thing we see with Garnacho, which is an extremely high number of shots for a much lower number of goals. That same reverse chart. Obviously he has a few more. Opposite racismo. It's like he's a little better, but it's not much. It's still a super high volume shooter for not that many goals, I would stay away from that, in my opinion. I think it's a waste of money. Physical, maybe, but physical isn't really my problem with Garnacho. I mean, it is, physicality, improved physicality is better, but you've got to be like better also. It's not just the physicality. I don't like this 4 shots a game for a low number of goals. That doesn't do anything for me. If Semenyo is as a wingback, sure, but why would we spend 65 million on a wingback when we have Amad Diallo out there? Doesn't make any sense. You already have Cunha and Bruno, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It don't matter. I get Semenyo's more physical, but his end product is just as poor for me. Just as poor. He's never had a prolific season or anything like that. So, give me a thug goalkeeper. Yeah, give me a thug goalkeeper. Give me a big, strong goalkeeper who's tall and gigantic and stops shots, right? That's what we want. That's what we all want. Want a big dude, right? Yeah. I agree. Pause. What? What? No pause. Give me a giant. Give me someone who covers half the net. All times, James, are you United monitoring Trafford? I'm not United, but they are monitoring Trafford. Is there any chance we keep Rashford? Did you see the stories today? No. Rashford is on the way out, 40 million, and all of that. Yeah, I'll look at goalkeepers in a minute. I will look at goalkeepers and the goalkeeper section. I think it's really telling kind of the names we've been linked with in terms of goalkeepers. Why we've been linked to all of them. All right, let's get going. Just before we start, I just the normal upkeep, the normal housekeeping things to do here. One, please make sure to like the video, like the stream, retweet the post on Twitter, do what you got to do, share it, all of that kind of stuff. Help me out here. Smash the like button, beat the shit out of your monitor. No, wait, hold on. I'm getting lost. Hit the, like the video. um, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you. Other things, obviously, I have a few things to promote. Number one, the Patreon, gotten some new members there. There's a certain membership level that gets merchandise and things like that, but you get Ascord access to the Discord channels, Ascord channels. Might as well be. And it's a good place to hang out, updates, chat, community, all sorts of fun things. Same goes for the members here on YouTube. We did our first member video the other day. I will have more. I probably have another one I'll put out over the weekend for the members as well, that I have. And yeah, and so just trying to add to the benefits for joining the members club, and a thank you to everybody who does that. The other thing that I want to promote today, there's about 24 hours left to enter, just to get involved on this. We played this last week. It was a lot of fun. It is like, it's not betting, but it is a little bit. This week, we're giving away an Ahmad kit. This is the prize. This is a fantasy game. And essentially, you go in, you pick your 5 players from the Chelsea and United team. You have a budget. You go pick all your players that you think are going to perform best. They earn points based on a rule sheet here, similar like fantasy, but it's like a one-off game. And it's $5 to enter. The winner will be getting an Ahmad kit this week. So fun game. Enter, compete. I've entered my team in just a few minutes ago. Won't tell you who it is, but it adds a little bit of intrigue to what otherwise could be, to some degree, dead rubber games, but also some prizes involved. And it's actually going to be something we run on a weekly and then a bigger monthly basis next season, and probably a whole season long competition with some huge rewards and things. So get involved in that. It's fun. The link is below. It's fantasy picks. I promise you it's safe. All of that. We did it last week. It was good. One of our guys got a Maguire Dino kit from it last week, and he's taken it to Bilbao actually to get signed by Maguire, and so hopefully bring some good luck to the final as well. So come join, click below. You got like 23, 24 hours. There's not a ton of people signed up at this point, so the odds of you winning are actually pretty dang high at the moment. So I recommend doing so right now, and otherwise I'm gonna win the kit and take it myself. Probably. Anyway, does membership through Patreon include access? No, but I put the same stuff on. There's no way to connect the dots on Patreon on YouTube, but I put a lot of the same updates in Patreon as well. So you're getting the same things basically. So yeah, come join this. Give me money somehow, but actually get rewarded with other things this time. There you go. Okay, now that is done. Talking about Ruben Amorim, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this, because there's something I want to talk about here that ties into the goalkeeper, that ties into sales, and that ties into to ex-players. I spoke about it on the video this morning quite a bit at one point, and I said, look, Ruben Amorim was very, very upset recently, as you kind of saw by his comments on Sunday and the way he was acting. He's been very upset in recent times, and one of the big complaints that he has, and I'm not going to go like name by name and do something like that, because I actually want to be more positive here in the lead into our big final over the players, and talk about them. I don't want to be too negative on these guys who we've got in the team, all these players coming into the finals and all of that. Um, Hold on one sec. Just gonna do a little teaser. And so I want to be a little more positive just in the lead up to the final. So I'm not gonna like talk about all the names and things like that in particular, but he was very, very upset. And one of the problems that he has is because I was thinking about the other day, when I was doing the red carpet thing on Monday, when I said he's a good man manager, and I said, look, he's gotten the right people to get going, right? But then I thought about what is man management? What are the tools that you have, and how do you motivate players? How do you improve players? How do you change players? Well, in any environment, be it work, school, a team, otherwise, you've got to have rewards and you've got to have penalties. You've got to have positives. You've got to have consequences, right? There has to be, and I'm not talking about necessarily punishment. I'm not sitting there saying everybody, you've got to be like, that you have to have crazy punishments and things like that. But any functional team on earth has systems of consequences, has systems of rewarding players who excel, and having consequences for players who are not doing their jobs, for players who are not good enough, for players who are, not following the plan, for players who are not doing what they are supposed to. Every single team sport in the world has this. And every single coach needs the ability to implement consequences as a means of motivating players. Everybody's different, right? In terms of how you motivate them, how you get them going. So, like, you would take the stories from Sir Alex about and some of the players around him and how he would motivate, because it was one of certainly his best traits, and how he got players going. And you'd hear like, all right, there's players he would scream at, yell at, throw shit at, beat the crap out of mentally, you know what I mean? And there's players he would have soft hands, soft touch, soft talk too, right? Because everybody responds differently to different things. He did that, of course, because the guys he was being harsh to needed it. Oh my God, Issa, you got a gift finally. It's happened. It must be your lucky day. Rush Manu sending 5 gifted memberships to everybody. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. As always, thank you again. Thank you very much. Yeah, really appreciate that. As always, it says a member. It is so over. It's over. The stream is done. We're finished as a channel. But thank you guys. Thank you, Ranabir. If you're talking about this topic, call Phil. His bingo phrase is top-down incentivization. Yes, yeah, yeah. Like, there's players who need different things, right? It's horses for courses. It's it's the ability to motivate. It's the ability to help. It's the ability to do different things. So there's guys who he's motivated, right? So if you take like Casemiro, for example, you look at him, and when he came in, he couldn't use Casemiro. He benched him, and he said explicitly, "Oh my God, Stuart going bar for bar here with Rush Manu gifting 10 memberships, 10." Not to be outdone. Thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate that. And to everybody here who's getting one, well, now you get the membership videos as well. So you get to go watch one I already posted, and there will be another coming soon. There you go. Thank you, Stuart. Always, always. You're always in here doing so much. I really appreciate that. It means an enormous, enormous, enormous amount to me. Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. You get a membership. I know. A proper the Oprah of the United Muppeteers community over here from Stuart. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. But yeah, like Casemiro, extremely common, Stuart, not to be outdone. Casemiro, the way that he managed him put him on the bench, said he can't use him. You know, he treated him a certain way, which wasn't even like particularly super nice, you know, but it worked. It worked. Um, it worked definitely to motivate him. And you look at like the reaction from Casemiro when he comes off against Bilbao after scoring, coming off the pitch, how he treats Amorim, how he respects him. He adores him. He adores him. Carter, welcome to the Pro Muppet, my friend. Thank you very much. Absolutely adores him. And you take it as a comparison to last year, the way the stories, the things that came out, not even be included in the final by Ten Hag, stuff like that. Very, very different levels of man management and motivation. Now, that being said, you know, you take that and think, well, he's been able to do something with that, with Casemiro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was able to bench him because we could play Ugarte and we could play Bruno and we could, it wasn't even necessarily like consequences, but he was able to do something. You know what I mean? In order to help him get going. You take Lenny Yoro, who's come a long way under Ruben Amorim. He was able to start him, not play him too much, ease him in, rotate him around, take him out of the spotlight, all sorts of things, right? He was able to do all of that, and look at how it helped him. You know, you take Bruno, who was crap for the first couple months, even of Amorim's tenure, and you know, he had the option to do things with him and move it around. And so, like, there were things he could do to manage some of these players. One of his chief complaints is he has no recourse for some players, because for some players, there's nobody else to do the job that they're doing, whether they're doing it well or not. There's nobody else. None. Literally cannot put somebody on, right? And look, obviously you can make guesses and assumptions, but if you want to use like examples, right? We sat there talking about the you know, the squad yesterday, and I was saying I wouldn't start Hoyland, you know, and I was like, well, it's like, well, you need a 9. We don't have a 9. So then you're saying people are saying we have to start Hoyland. Like, I'm just saying, like, you know, like it's just an obvious one, because Xerxes started getting in the team a bunch before he got injured, right? And doing more and more and more things like that. But point being, if you can't do anything about it, it's hard to teach. You know, when Amorim went into Sporting, he was pretty harsh in the beginning. He's not afraid to do whatever he can to ship players, to sell players, to move players, to bench players, to, you know, push the big name guys out of the lineup. Like, he'll do it all. He did it before. He did it at Sporting. He's done it. That's what he does. Adeyinka, welcome to the membership. Thank you very much. You know, he does that all the time. Manu False 9 was definitely a message. Yeah. The problem is he doesn't have that recourse across the squad, right? So there's players in the squad that he was, you know, and he's expressed this to ownership. I shouldn't say ownership. He's expressed this to Wilcox, to Omar, to the people he speaks with, right? He's expressed it because that twofold. One, there are players he just won't use, that he doesn't want to use, and so that's a problem. And that he feels it's ridiculous that he would have a chance, that he would have to use them. But then, you know, then there's others where he can't even bench them. He can't even not use them, no matter what problem he has, because there is literally nobody else to do that kind of job in the squad for him. There's just nothing he can do. So he's made this really clear as to a problem with the team, a problem with the squad, and a weakness in the whole thing that has to be sorted out. And he was really upset by this recently. And, you know, essentially the way that he's approached this, the way that he's communicated it, the way that he's said it, and his perspective is, if this is the team that we have to work with to achieve the goals, then like he said publicly, maybe he's not the right guy. You know what I mean? That's why he was saying we have to be brave, we have to change, we have to do a lot, because if it's the same next season, then maybe I'm not the right guy. And this is my point I've always made about him and what he was hired for. So you look at like silly comments like Sean Dyche coming in and saying, well, I could win more games. Probably. In the Premier League, he probably could. Like you said, go to an old-fashioned 4-4-2, play the way he wants, whatever, right? Amorim's not the guy. He's never been the guy. That's not how he views football, to come in and say, I'll take this squad and make it work. That's not what he wants. Because he'd rather look at it and say, this is a shit squad. This is a shit squad. This is a team that I can't do anything with. You could find a different manager who could do a lot more with this squad. But if the job is to make do with this squad, then find somebody else, So, that is an interesting one on that front in terms of that view. And I think that's the point he was making when he spoke publicly. Now, obviously today he was talking about how we really need Champions League, because that's really the solution here. We need the money. When he was talking about it, like, are we good enough? It doesn't matter. We need the money to rebuild the team. He had a very different tone today, yesterday, I think, if you note that. Yesterday, if you note that, his tone was very different about Champions League and needing the money to rebuild the team, essentially to springboard United forward. So, that's really, to me, very, very clear where he was coming from with his comments on Sunday. Comments yesterday was, we need the money to build this team, to speed this up, because we need to be able to he wants, obviously, recourse. He wants the ability everywhere to sub players, to change players, to manage players, to do that. I think we'll win, but what if we don't? Well, if we don't, then we have to buy younger, fewer, and sell. We have to buy younger and cheaper and sell. That's what we have to do. That's the answer. If we don't get the extra money from Champions League, we have to be willing to sell more players, and we have to be willing to buy younger for depth and for youth and for the 18 to 20 range, to get young and hungry players coming in as the rotational guys and all of that. So it's important to note that it's not just the starters, though. I get what you're saying, like only 4 first-team signings. It's not 4 first-team signings, 4 starting signings as a minimum, as a priority. But there are others. Certainly, there's potentially more that could be the guys you want to keep trying, the guys you want to get in, the guys you want to, give chances to, right? We'd have less games. There's that too, yes. So you don't need as big a squad, right? So it's a balance. It's a balance. It's a balance there of what we can do. And obviously this ties into the goalkeeper discussion, right? Because so we know a few things that have been said in the last little while. Now, all season I've been telling you, United are looking at goalkeepers. Wasn't even watching because bedtime routine, but got a notification I was gifted a membership. Yeah, you did, Khalid. Maybe we have to sell Kobe, Garnacho, and Rashford to open the bank. Not easy decisions. Sure. Things like that. Now, I don't know, but I think things like that. Wouldn't be surprised if Casemiro wins that Wednesday. Yeah, you never know. But the goalkeeper is one of these areas that's pretty obvious, right? I've been telling you all season that United have been looking at goalkeepers. We've had names added to the list. We've had Vanya Milinkovic-Savic linked by Fabrizio Romano. We've had Lamens, another name that we had been talking about, linked by Simon Stone this week. And then there was an article today saying, look, goalkeeper's not a priority. Now, that article is practically word for word the last video I made on goalkeepers, which was that we don't want to spend our budget. we don't want to spend our budget on the goalkeeper. Okay, we don't want to spend our money on the goalkeeper. It's a sell to buy position on its own. Whatever we sell, we want to be able to reinvest that from that position, because the goalkeeper is not that vital to Ruben Amorim in terms of how he plays. He doesn't need an Ederson, but what he does want is safe hands, right? That's the word I've used many times. He wants safe hands. He wants a keeper who who does the business safely. That's what he wants. He wants somebody who's a good shot stopper, who's big, who does all of that, and that's what he's looking at. So if Onana could be sold, then he would reinvest that quite directly into maybe a more expensive keeper. But otherwise, Bayindir is more likely to go at this point in time to get more minutes to play more somewhere else. Even if he goes for 5-8 million, it would allow us to spend in the 20 to 25 million range. Now, all the keepers that we've been linked with, unless I'm misunderstanding something, are in that price range. Milinkovic-Savic, I think, is rumored to be around 20, 25 million. Joan Garcia, I think, has 20 to 25 million euros release clause. James Trafford, I believe, has been talked about in the 25 million range. And then Lamens, I think, is around the same price as well. So different keepers in terms of ages and all of that. But similarly, all in kind of the same vein of just a pair of safe hands that is affordable, right? And so, when I look at you look at Milinkovic-Savic, right? Ex-United Academy player. He ranks as one of the best shot stoppers in all of Europe. He's big, he's giant, he's massive, he makes good saves, comes off of his line well, gets it in the air a lot. Jean Garcia is probably the same, right? Neither of them is dynamic with their passing, but they're both good. Jean Garcia does a bit more for sure. But yeah, they're all good there. Somebody linked me this morning the Lamens chart. I'll find it. Give me a second as well, because it was on somewhere. Because the Data MB guys posted it as well. Here we go, so we could look at it. So this is Jean Garcia, who we've got up now, Chevalier, and then it's Lamens. So Lamens is similar, in that respect. High shot stopping, right? Once again, the priority, make good saves. Make good saves. Now he's got a bit more in the passing and such range there. But similarly, they're the main guys are the same. Great shot stoppers. That's what he's looking for. Those are all of the keepers that we're looking for. So barring Saudi coming in for Onana and making a big offer that gets him off of our books, we'd probably still go for the same targets, to be quite honest. But regardless, what we're looking for is somebody who has a pair of safe hands, and it would require a sale, and maybe that'll happen. We'll see. As of yet, we don't really know. But yeah, yeah. So which one's most likely? I would say Lamens and Vanya are the two best links as of now in terms of likelihood of them occurring. We obviously do need to sell Altai Bayindir first in order to make that happen. Yeah, Mike McGrath linked us to Lamens. Yes, there's good links to him. Yeah, there definitely are. And point here is even when Onana's been underperforming, what can you do, right? Because let's take the in between Lyon, right? Onana has an absolute stinker against Lyon, screws it all up, concedes 2 goals he shouldn't, and then you put him Bayindir at the weekend and he has another terrible game, another clear mistake, makes his own blunder, costing us a goal. And then what are you going to do? Now you're back. Now Onana even still responded to that pretty well, but to perform in the second leg better, not special, but better. But it's like there's just no recourse. There's just no recourse. There's no competition. Suki Bansal, thank you for welcome to the pro membership. Thank you. So that is an issue. That is an issue, no doubt about it. That's a problem. For sure, that is a problem. That we have to solve. So but it is a good example of the concerns that Ruben Amorim has with the squad and the inability to adjust. Like, even if he likes Onana, and there are players he likes in the squad that he feels he cannot get the best out of because he doesn't have a way to help them, if you get what I'm saying. Look, sometimes there are players who, at times, when you want to help them, you need to take them out. Give them rest, rotate them, use them as a sub for a few games, do things like that to get them into the rhythm you want or to fix the issues that you have. But when you have nobody behind them, or it's way worse behind them, you can't really do that. There's players he doesn't like, and there's players that's a problem. He likes them, but doesn't have any way to help them. So they just will get worse and worse, and they'll be tired and all of those types of things. And it's a problematic. So yeah, those are those issues there. So United are looking at a goalkeeper. I still think they'll end up getting one this summer in terms of replacing Bayindir. Obviously, then that means there's going to be other sales, and this is where United will need to be what United will need to be brave, as Amorim put it, in moving players on quickly, and moving players on who we might not always consider as well. Yes, that's the exact graph I'm going to show. Yes, thank you for that. That is the exact graph I'm going to show, actually. But yeah, so I did a video that was maybe prescient. Maybe I just get lucky with my opinions on certain things in terms of them reflecting the views, but of keep, sell, all of that, of making it really clear on Monday, and on Monday night I put that out, and there's a lot of players we want to sell, a lot, and we have to be brave about doing it. And not everybody's going to love every single sale. There's going to be plenty of players who they're going to look to sell who've played big parts in this season. Just because they're playing doesn't mean that they're not for sale. King Ragnar, need Maston with Cunha and Delap. Mbumo's amazing, but Maston is a must. Do you reckon we need to sell Garnacho for it to happen? And thoughts on Rashi coming back? Him at striker would, to be honest, Delap rotation. Rashford's not going to come back, right? He's really not going to come back. The most likely thing is we need Barcelona to come in for him. But yes, I would love to get Mastantuono as that third player in addition to Cunha and Delap, for sure. I absolutely would. Yes, it will require sales to do so. Madrid are still sniffing and pushing and kind of doing their low ball / delay and come for free or something later aspect with Mastantuono. So it is complicated, but we'll see what happens there. How strong are the Barcelona links in Rash? They're pretty strong, actually. I'd still be surprised if they don't at least make an offer for him. I'd be quite surprised if they don't make an offer for him. We need 4 priority players. Priority players. We will get more. 4 is the priority. We will sign more. And the 4 players we want are a minimum of 2 forwards and a midfielder. And then I think it's another forward. How do you become a member? There should be a button right below the video to join. Is there going to be, and that's the other factor, right? There's that we're very likely to potentially, you know, we're very likely, like you saw how we did this last year, this year I should say, rather, um, where we loaned out players who, even, just because like you could say, hey, we should have kept Rashford, we should have kept Anthony, we should have kept Malacia. Why not? Better to loan them out if they're not going to be here, if we can't sell them, have them improve their value and all of that kind of stuff. And the same goes for this year. So there's going to be guys we may not be selling, that maybe we can't sell, that would go on loan. That would go on loan, and that would free up wages and things like that as well. Can Sir Jim inject more money to open up the bank a little more? No, it makes no difference. He's already reached the owner maximum. James said earlier they'd only sign a CB if there's a long-term injury. Correct. So that's kind of what Amorim was saying too. There's no member button for Jamaica. It may be that you can't in some countries, honestly. I don't actually know, like Hoyland. Thank you, Iffy Yo-Yo, for joining the members club as well. I would love it if our manager wasn't in trouble in the 10 games the next season. Yeah. So with the center back situation, it's the same as what Amorim said. If one of them is down for longer, then we might look to buy. Otherwise, I think we'll be okay with what we have. It might. There's a chance, I suppose, we would do it anyway if we can get enough money coming in, but it's probably not a priority. You can't join from Barbados. Fair. All right. They don't like you Islanders. What's up with that? It's racism. Yeah, Alvaro, Oyedeli, Greenwood. These are all sales of players out there that we have buyback, like sell-ons and things like that. Is there any regret on any of the players bought last summer? No. I would say this, okay? None of them are for sale. None of them are players they're actively trying to sell. Now, look, if somebody made if somebody came in and said, "Hey, here's 50 million for Xerxes," would the club consider it? Maybe, but and the same go. I'm not singling out Xerxes. Obviously, Euro is the only one that is like completely unmissably off the table. But none of them are for sale. And they're pretty happy with all of them to continue into their second season and see if they can improve and grow in a more stable setting. Most all of them in that case are looked at that way. That in a more stable team with the manager there all year, want to see how they do in their second season. Aside from Lenny, who's already fully convinced everybody that he's the guy. But so I wouldn't say regret. Does that mean they're 100%? Does that mean that every single one of them has been as good as they hoped so far? No, but it doesn't really particularly matter in that respect. If we're looking at all these strikers and 10s and big money, not sure where Xerxes gets game time. Well, if you have Cunha, D-Lap, Bruno, my next off the bench would be Xerxes. If you buy another Mastantuono or something, then you've got 5. So then the real questions are Garnacho, Mount, and Mainu, where they fit in to all of this. But Mount can't stay healthy, so I would say, we haven't seen enough from Mount to say he's like a sure thing. Mainu still needs to find a spot, and he also can play deeper. And then we've discussed Garnacho on a few occasions. So I think there's plenty. Of space. We do need to have more opportunities for other players. I think Mount could be loaned, but we'll see. He could be loaned, but we will see. Yeah, I would 100% go for Sane, by the way. Yeah, and that was one I wanted to bring up today, by the way. And I want to poll here. Leroy Sane on a free. I'm not going to answer before I poll it because I have an answer if you saw earlier. I'm curious what people's takes on this are. I'm really, really curious. Because we actually have been linked to him today. Sane can't come in on Bruno wages. I'll give it a second more for the poll here. So I'm really, 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 really quite curious people's thoughts on this. Always rated Sane, depends on his wages. We need to sign players to fit the system, can't sign players for the name. I think Sane fits the system well, plays left 10 for Nagelsmann, didn't he? Interesting. Interesting different opinions here. Interesting level of different opinions here. Has he been injured much or no? No, he hasn't. It's a bit of a misconception for some reason. For some reason, people think he's been injured a lot. Don't know why. He was injured. He had a bad ACL injury before he left the Premier League, but he's actually been fine. I think he's only missed like 4 games. He's 29, and his speed is gone in a season. Oh, man. As a 33-year-old telling me that a 29-year-old is finished in 1 year, that's pretty crazy. Their legs fall off at 30 years old. I think Messi, Ronaldo, and others' best years were in their early 30s, to be fair, but but we're not professional athletes, Chris. We're not professional athletes. So 58% yes. All right, look. So let's look at some Sane info. All right. First of all, here is Leroy Sane, okay? 99th percentile for non-penalty goals per 90. Like, these are all per 90, by the way. Let's look at his stats. So, in Leroy Sane, you have a player who, when he was 21 in the Premier League, had a 25 goal contribution season for City, and then a 20 to follow up. This was his injury season. He had an ACL injury. He did it in the Premier League, buddy. That's what I'm saying, Patrick. He got his best seasons were in the Premier League as a 21-year-old. Okay, and then he went to Bayern, 15, 14, 15, 19, 16, averages about 1,800 minutes a season. About a goal and assist every 100 minutes. Sane is an absolute baller, honestly. Let me just put it that way. Sane is an incredible player. He'd be free. Right now, all right, so let's discuss this for a second, just so people are up to date on the situation with Leroy Sane. He's getting paid. His contract at Bayern was 300,000 a week euros. Let's be clear for a second. Euros. Okay, so that translates to hold on a sec, because I don't know the math. Euros. 250,000 a week in pounds. All right. This is a player who's won 6 league titles in his career, okay? 6 league titles in his career. I think 250,000 a week anyway is good, is fine for an experienced player who's won 6 league titles. I don't think it's that overinflated anyway. It's only about 50K more than De Ligt, who came from Bayern as well, and Sane is a more successful player, certainly. Mount earns that, I know, and it's a free transfer. League titles for Bayern don't count. I mean, fine, he's got 2 Premier League titles. Do we have any Premier League titles in our squad? Can you tell me that? Do we have any? Do we have a single player with league titles in our squad? Johnny Evans? Right? In the Premier League? Johnny Evans? Johnny Evans? Does Mount have a Premier League title? Yeah, Johnny Evans, yeah. Eaton. Yeah. Does Mount have a Premier League title? I feel like, does he technically? We won't have Evans next season, so we won't have him. Mount doesn't. I don't think Mount has a league title in the Premier League. I don't think he does. He has a Champions League trophy. Does not have a league title, does he? Yeah, just a Champions League. Yeah, just Champions League. He's not 30, Sane. He is 29. Evans is a better trophy cabinet than Van Dijk. Yeah, that's right. That's right. No, point being, this is a good player. This is a good player. Positionally, by the way, when you look at him as well, I think he actually looks a lot like Cunha in this respect. He is actually much more dynamic than I think people are giving him credit for. He's not a touchline, sit on one side winger and fall in. He is pretty much a 10. He had his, like, he did very, very well, as someone pointed out, under Nagelsmann as a 10. He did very well under Nagelsmann as a 10. He can play very well in central areas as a narrow forward. He's very flexible. He's very fluid. He's very direct. He's good on the run. He's good in a turn. He's a good player. He's a very good player. The fact that he's Premier League experience, not just Bundesliga, helps a lot to me. But I think the major thing is that, remember I said he was on 250,000 at Bayern, right? Now pause for a second on that conversation, okay? Because I told you that's what his contract was. He's presently being offered 150 by Bayern for a 3-year contract. That's what you're competing with to sign him at the moment, okay? Not 250, all right? Based on the information that's there, Bayern are offering a 3-year deal on 150,000 a week. That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. Like, if you'd come to us on a 3-year deal for 150,000, it's a no-brainer. I would offer more than that to beat it. If we this is just my opinion. I would definitely do that. A 3-year deal for 175? Sure. You got to think about the total cost. That's not about coming for the wages. That's a 27 million total cost. Okay, so it's 35 million in cost. That's not for 1 year. That's for 3 years. So you're talking about 35 million for 3 years. You know, that's a no-brainer for me for a player of his quality. For sure, it's 27 million in wages plus whatever your sign-on fee is. To me, that would be a no-brainer. Would I do 5 years on 250,000? Absolutely not. Of course not. I wouldn't sign anybody at that age who isn't like an extremely top player. But you know, like, problem with Sane is we can get what young player is getting you a similar output for 10 times less wages? Who's doing that? Yeah, it gives you money to spend elsewhere, yeah, right? So, like, you have to just bear something in mind. Let's say you go sign Brian Mbeumo, all right? He's going to want 150, 175,000 in wages because you're competing with a bunch of clubs. So that's 9 million a year, 46 million over the course of 5 years, and you're paying 60 million for him. You're paying 105 million for Mbumo. Like, would I? That's a lot of money, which is fine, but it's not like this is like for a third of the cost. I think it's a no-brainer. We're going for Cunha as the experienced one. The other 10 needs to be messed into Ono. I hear you, but we may not be able to get him. There's a balance here that is possible. And I think that with Sane, I think some people are maybe not up to date on him in respect as well. Like there was a German individual in our live earlier as well from Munich, but also if you kind of research a little bit, Sane is well known over there as a player who's matured a lot, who is now a bit of a leader, has a great attitude, who works really hard. None of those personality concerns are there with Bayern, you know. So just bear that in mind, okay? Just bear that in mind. I think some people are thinking with old things like that. As well as not being the case. So yeah, look, you take him. I would take him for 3 years, 175,000 a week. I would 100% take him personally. Is there anything in it? No idea. No idea. You are from Munich. He has grown up a lot. I had the pleasure of meeting him. Love him to bits. Fair. But you wouldn't risk him, and that's fair. It's all opinions. But he has grown up a lot. He has become more mature and all of that as well than what he was before. Look, is it a guarantee? Is it a guarantee? No. But I like that it would work out? No. But I do think it's a good player who would get a good output. Is there anything in it? Also very, very unlikely. But we did get a link. That's why I brought it up. We did get a link. There was a link. Yeah. So what? We can have a squad. We can have a squad. I know people were suggesting signing Jonathan David, but not Sane. Sane is twice the player Jonathan David is. I don't get it. I would 100% take him. Like what? It's that thing I always say about United fans. We're allergic to having a squad. We are allergic. United fans are absolutely allergic to having a squad, except when it's someone they want. Then it's okay. But United fans tend to be allergic to having a squad. We all want a squad, and then you say, hey, why don't we get, like, let me just say this, all right? Go look at the City sides that have won anything. Look at how many forwards they've had. Look at how many forwards they've had, okay? Look at their title-winning teams and the number of guys. I mean, they had at times like Aguero, Jesus, Silva, Sterling, Sane, De Bruyne. Like the amount of talents that they would have in one go up front, you couldn't pick 3 to play. It was like impossible to pick 3 players to play for them at one time, and Pep would just rotate the forwards like crazy, and then you get an injury, you don't even notice it. Someone's missing, you don't even notice it. Mahrez, someone falls out of form, you don't even notice it. You know, let's say we buy Delap and Cunha, right? Next season, we buy Delap and Cunha. Listen, this is our forward depth if we buy Delap and Cunha. I want you really to think it through for a second. It's Delap, Cunha, Bruno. And then after that, it's Xerxes, Garnacho, Mount, Højlund. Now, please tell me that that's good enough. Because one injury, and you're back to Højlund at striker. One injury to Cunha, and you're back to Garnacho at the 10 as your main starter. If they're not good enough now, they're not good enough later. Ahmad, no. Now you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That means Dalo's your right wing back all next season, who we already know isn't good enough. You know? Now you have Dallo at right back. Then you're weakening your attack in other ways. We need more. We need more. We need like I want to see us rotate and feel good about the front three we're putting out. Delap, Cunha, Bruno, that's going to give us a nice starting front three, in my opinion. The minute we have to rotate, it's going to look like this season, right? It's going to look like this season. Just bear that in mind. Even if we buy those players, our rotation is going to look like this season. Is this season's front three good enough to win any games? No, obviously not, because we're not winning any games. So we can't have our rotation. Every time we rotate, we can't be the sixth. We can't be, once again, the 19th best attack in the league. Every time we have to make a substitution, we become the 19th best team in the league. Every time there's an injury, we become the 19th best attack. we got to do better than that. We need at least one more top forward. At least one more top forward, in my opinion. Whether that's Mbeumo or someone else. I think Sane would be a smart one that would allow us to spend money elsewhere and add more depth in other places. We aren't the 19th best attack in the league. We're 20th. True. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying we're going to get Sane. I'm just saying I would take Sane and Mbeumo, just load them up. Just load them up. Just get us attackers, give me a squad, give me a squad where when you're rotating, you're playing, Mbeumo, Sane, and Bruno or something. I don't care. Like I want to feel good about every game, not crappy. So anyway, yeah, that's my view, and I would sell every single player, to make that happen. In that front line, bar Bruno. I would sell every player in that front line. Besides Bruno. I could not care less if it allowed us to get those levels of players in. So yeah, that's what I would do. What's the aversion to Jonathan David from top clubs? Because he's not very good. That's why. He's just not very good. I'll tell you my actual dislike of Jonathan David as a player. He's not intense. He's severely lacking in intensity, in my opinion. When I watch him, I see a player who's often out of the game, not very intense. I don't believe he's particularly athletic, and I think you bring him to the Premier League and he'll be invisible most of the time. That's about it. He's overweight and slow. Yeah, there you go. He's just not athletic. He's slow. He's not intense. He's exactly the opposite of what I want out of a striker in terms of the way he plays, like a bad Martial. That's how I see it. That's the answer. That's my answer to you on that. That's all. That's how I see it. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of potential sales to be made, and like I was saying, when you're talking about all the forwards, guys like Mount, things like that. The point being there with like someone like Mount is, yes, Amorim likes him. That doesn't mean he'll stay. If someone would take him on loan and United don't feel comfortable about his fitness come the end of summer, then there's potential he goes on loan. Do I think he will? No, I don't think there's going to be any takers for someone like Mount. I think he's unlikely to leave because his wages are high and the injury things. And I think like Shaw, I think it makes him really hard to shift. But they would absolutely be amenable to letting him go on loan to get back into some kind of rhythm and one way or another. There is that possibility, but that's part of the ruthlessness. Regardless, regardless of what Amorim has said, there's still the facts there, which is that he's barely played. And he's been here 2 seasons. And we'll see. We will see. Just go to Napoli. Mason Mount on loan is doing news on X. It is what it is. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's just a discussion. It's just a discussion. But yeah, look, there's always the potential for a lot of players to be moved out. Whether they will, whether they don't, whether there's a likelihood, that is, some are extremely lower than others. But I promise you, they're not sitting there happy with anybody they're paying $250,000 a week to who starts 1 game a season so far. It's just a fact. That's just a fact. Moving on to the ex-players portion, what I'm saying there, aggregate is take it and run. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. It is what it is. On the ex-players, it's funny because we were just, someone said they were hoping I did a rant yesterday, and then I got into ex-player stuff like right off the bat. And it went on a little bit of a tangent, but I thought today we got a great example of this because I was saying just yesterday that it was kind of nice that Rio was one of these guys who was getting behind a lot of the players, supporting the team, talking to them, giving them advice, things like that. Then today, a thing comes along, with a video from Rio for Bruno, and I'm like, what the fuck with these other guys, man? What's with these other guys? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, why can't they be a little bit supportive or even balanced in their takes of them? And, it's just kind of sad, but we see it with Rio again, being positive, being supportive. Do you not think it would help? I mean, these are people that mean something to these players. Like, you look at like what some of the things Bruno has said and what some of these other guys said, like these are people they look up to. They don't give a shit about me. They don't give a crap about your random person, or they shouldn't anyways. But even guys like Bruno, you don't think it hurts them a little bit when legends of the club, players that they probably idolize, that they see every single day, videos and clips and their pictures on the walls and all of that kind of stuff, you don't think it means something to them what these players say? You know what I mean? Like, does it not? Wouldn't they want, support from them, help from them, advice from them, rather than just using them for attention, for their punditry jobs, for their channels and things like that? Wouldn't they want that? Don't you think it does mean something? I mean, let's take the example, Rafa Varane, barely been at the club, was not at the club for a long time. He still posts heavily supportive things of United all the time. And I would bet you he's still spoken to some of the players who are at the team right now, supporting them. As a legend of the game, not necessarily a legend of United, even fell out with the coach and had a bit of a rough time here. Look at how supportive they can be. How positive they can be. I guarantee you that helps. You know what I mean? Look at Nani, going to meet with Lenny, and like the support and the love and all of that. You know what I mean? Like, why? Why can't they do that? Yeah, Schwein, but why can't some of these guys who've won everything just do that? It's not about being, it's just, anyway, it bothers me. It's like, what good does it do? Do you not think it has an effect? Because I do. I sure as shit do. When you come to a club like United, it's always the ones from Manchester. I know, right? It's so weird. When you come to a club like United, and it's like, these are the legends. These are the people you aspire to be. These are the people who wrote the books for United, the history. It's gotta hurt. It's gotta hurt. It just does. I cannot see how it does anything but drag them down. That's all. I really do. I really do. It's so nuts to me every time I see Jamie Carragher be better, be better towards us. And I'm not saying it's like he's positive. Jamie Carragher is honest in a neutral way towards our players and our club far more than many of our ex-players. I don't get it, man. Jamie Carragher, like, come on, you know, like it's crazy. It's just crazy. It's very, very weird to me. Not a fan of it, but we were provided with another good example. Like, I think things like that video from Rio help. Like, let's say you do want this club to be back. Let's say you do want this club to be back where it is. Let's say you actually cared. You know, don't you think sending videos like Rio does to support, to motivate, to encourage ahead of a big final would be helpful? Do you think it'll help, or do you think it'll hurt? Rio doing that, right? Do you think it'll help them? Do you think it'll inspire them? Or do you think it would hurt Rio doing that? Obviously help. There's no way it's going to hurt, right? So why can't more people do it? They're there. It's not like they just, you know, there's guys who don't even talk about football anymore, right? That's fine. It can't hurt. Let it, you know, if you're getting involved, just helping. You know, Rio helped bring Euro to United. Yeah, it's like, why not help? Like, we may not have gotten Lenny Euro if not for Rio Ferdinand. You realize that? So it's not like it's not effective. It's not like it's inconsequential. It's it means something. It has an impact. It does do something. You know, to do that. It's not like you have to, you know, you could be, you can encourage the players you like if there's ones you don't, you know, you know, and just be quiet about the other ones. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it wouldn't kill them to be helpful. It wouldn't kill them to be helpful. Maybe our ex-players are a sign of the toxic culture at the club today. Well, maybe they could help. Maybe they can help a little bit on that front, but that's all right. You can be critical on TV and still, well, it's like that, right? Like, you can be objective as a pundit and you can still try to get close to help them, to support them. But I don't think that they do. I don't think that they do. All right. Moving on to Chelsea. Big story there was that young Aiden Heaven is back in the squad for Chelsea. Means we get a shot. You know, that means we get a chance. You know, that means he could be in the final. Obviously, we're missing Lenny right now. Could Lenny be back for the final? We don't know yet. We don't know, but I'd certainly rather see Aiden Heaven take the field in the final than Victor Lindelof. I'm sorry to say. I should be more positive. Anybody could start the final. Anyone could start the final, and whoever they do, I back you. I hope you succeed. I hope you do great. I hope you win. But I would still rather play Aiden Heaven in the final over Victor Lindelof, I'll be honest. Just my opinion, I would pick him. He's more athletic. He's got more in his bag as a wide center back. You know, I have not really liked Luke Shaw at left center back, but I would also personally start Luke Shaw at left wing back. I think the occasion might get to Dorgu. I think Shaw has more experience. And I think that Shaw, for 50, 60 minutes, could be the guy on left wing back. You need one game from him to do it. You know. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, I would like to see Heaven in there. So hopefully Heaven can get on the pitch as a substitute in this game. Make sure he gets a little bit of sharpness and that he can play on Wednesday next week as a starter if Lenny is not back. Now, again, with Lenny, the thing is he's not been out for long. So if he can be back by next Wednesday, and there is still a chance, he probably could go right in. He wouldn't really need to build up much fitness and all of that. So that's okay. Xerxes, it's tight. It's tight, but hopefully we see on Tuesday next week a big surprise. Xerxes in the squad. Lenny's in the squad for the game against Tottenham. The traveling to Bilbao. Let's hope we get some surprises. Let's hope we surprise Spurs a little bit. Against Chelsea, one of the things here as well is obviously Ruben Amorim is going to play a strong team. It's a strong team traveling. It's a strong team he's going to play. As he said, a couple of things that he said, you can't have players going 8-9 days without playing games before the final. They need to play. You got to balance it with the injuries, but you need to play. The data certainly suggests that the teams that play most of their starters do better in the final when they play them in the game before. So I suspect we'll play probably 6 to 8 of the players that will be in the final will be starting against Chelsea, and then we'll get 5 subs on of some other players who are in contention to start. And there'll be a few who obviously have to play 90 minutes, who maybe are not guys who are starting, in the final as well. But we'll see about that. And then there's guys who can play 90 just because they're nuts, like Bruno. So that's fine as well. The other interesting thing that I thought, that we had this discussion before. Ruben Amorim says, what he said is that Spurs won't change. They play a certain way and they won't change. And I've said that before, that's why I think we could win, because I think they play a certain way and we can take advantage of that. Whether that means we play a deep block, whatever that means, I don't know. But yeah, Spurs could play a certain way. So I suspect we will approach this game similarly, and I'll tell you why. We kind of did it with City and Lyon, and it actually worked out pretty well. Where we, I genuinely don't think they've played different in the EL. I'll tell you why again specifically. Bodo Glimt are one of the best possession sides in Europe, surprisingly, but they are. They are one of the best possession sides in Europe. I don't think it was on purpose that Spurs ended up defending deeper and couldn't approach the game the way that they usually do. I think they were forced into that because given injuries, given other factors, given Glimt's quality on the ball, they just were not able to play the way they usually do. I truly believe that to be the case. But Frankfurt, it was the second leg. Maybe it was a little different, but I don't know. I don't know about that. But Amorim seems to believe they'll play a very specific certain way. It's also against the Premier League team. So I think we'll approach it similarly to how we did in the weeks in between. I think we'll play Chelsea like we're going to play Tottenham, and we'll get a clue into how we want to play. Do we want to have a deeper block? What do we want to do? I think we'll see a similarity there to have everybody. James, you're being quoted by aggregators as saying Mount could go on loan this summer. Is that what you said, or being misquoted as usual? There's a bunch of context around it. I was talking about all the players that could go, players that if they can't show they're healthy, they're on big wages, that maybe getting them out on loan, like we've done this year with Rashford, with Antony, with Malacia, with these guys, so that they can prove themselves and get their value up and things like that would probably be better for their career. And that maybe Mount could be an example of that, of a player who could go on loan. So yeah, a lot of context around that. A lot of context around that sentence. But what I will say on it, in again very directly, is that are they happy with the fact that they're paying $250,000 a week for a player who so far managed to be fit for like a month? No, absolutely not. Does that mean that they don't like Mount, or that anybody doesn't like Mount? No, they do, but there's still that factor. Like, do they believe he'll be fit all season next year? Do they believe he can stay fit? Do they believe he'll be useful in that respect? It's still an unknown, and so it will still come under consideration how we have to do what to do with him. Regardless of whether Amorim really likes him or not, it's still under consideration what happens with him. But it would be completely wrong to say it's all great and happy. I think it's a lot of recency bias. if people are writing off the potential that he could move. The likelihood of his moving is nearly fucking zero, though, because of the wages and the injuries. The same as I would say for Luke Shaw. The likelihood is extremely low. It would be really hard to move either of those players in any capacity, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't be something on the table and something that they would look at. I know for sure, at least it's been discussed, the point of like, what do we do with them next season? And it isn't as simple as they're great, we want to keep them and they'll stay. So there's a lot of context around that discussion. But again, all within the realm as well of this point on needing to be brave with moving as much out as possible to rebuild the squad and have options next season that Amorim is happy with. And that's the focus. And some of the decisions will be surprising in doing that. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna end it here. We'll see. Tomorrow we'll do a live before Chelsea. We'll go through the lineup. We'll do a watch along, all of that kind of stuff. It'll be fun. So I appreciate that. Once again, for everybody here, thank you for being there. Thank you for chatting with me. Thank you for hanging out today. Thank you for the members. Thank you for the Patreons. Thank you for the people joining. All of that kind of stuff. Appreciate you. And once again, for everybody here, you can go join that game below. Win an Ahmad kit tomorrow. Still time to join. Still time to take part. It's fun. And right now it's a pretty good odds for you. So go check that out as well.